Hey guys, Anderbun here with one simple question. Who is the one character you think of when you hear these words strung together? Italian, overalls, video games, red hat, mushrooms. While most of you probably thought of Darth Vader, I thought of Mario.
And why wouldn't you? He's been defining the world of video games since the launch of the NES way back in 1985, and as a result, everyone knows who Mario is, barring a few people that don't classify as educated in the art of things that matter. His games sell like drugs, and as a result, Nintendo's been milking this Italian cash cow time and time again. However, all that spotlight Mario has does present a problem for the rest of his colorful cast of characters in the Mario universe. You know who I'm talking about. Poor old Luigi. You'd think the role of Mario's brother and the secondary protagonist in the biggest gaming franchise of all time would give a guy some popularity. However, if you thought that, you'd be wrong. Because for some reason Nintendo can't seem to give this guy the spotlight for more than a year. Even though Nintendo will release a game starring the underrated non-plumber, that doesn't stop Nintendo from exiling Luigi to being a free update in Mario Odyssey. And even then, he's just there to activate a mini-game. Even though Bloom World is pretty sick, I'm not gonna lie, but that's not the point.
Luigi needs more recognition stat, and that's why for my first review, I'm going to be looking at the first game Luigi starred in. The first entertaining game Luigi starred in.
Luigi's Mansion. Man, I have some memories with this game. As a young kid, it was always one of those games I was wildly curious about. You know those games that strike your interest so much from just seeing the box art? A game starring Luigi? Cool. With ghosts? Cool. When I finally got it, man, I was hooked. I would just replay this game over and over and over until, hunger and sleep deprivation kick in. Back then, I would classify this game as my fourth favorite of all time.
I thought a lot about this sort of thing as a kid. So, sit back and enjoy my review on Luigi's Mansion.
Alright, so I guess we'll start with the story. Luigi won a mansion in a contest that he didn't even enter. This raises absolutely no suspicion and tells Mario to meet him there immediately.
Genius!
Well, as it turns out, it was a trap, as when Luigi gets there, Mario is nowhere to be found. Who could have ever guessed? As he enters one of the rooms, he's greeted by a ghost, but right before Luigi gets taken, an old dude that looks like a baby steps in and tries to suck up the ghost, but fails. However, this does work as a diversion, and as a result, they're able to escape.
Before we move on, I'd just like to say that I'm trying so hard not to make any suck jokes throughout the video. But I want to. So much.
Anyway, they go to Egad's lab, and Egad discusses what the heck is going on. And as it turns out, Egad is a ghost hunter who amassed a massive collection of ghosts throughout his career. A gang of boos led by King Boo himself free all of Egad's ghosts and created a mansion with the power of illusion. Then they told Luigi he won said mansion and lured Mario and Luigi there, where the ghosts could capture them. However, it already seems Mario has been kidnapped, and it's up to Luigi to recapture all of Egad's portrait ghosts and save Mario. As a whole, it's still a game in the Mario universe, and as a result, the story isn't breaking any barriers anytime soon. But it works for what it is, and is something different. But of course, how does the game play? Well, it is not your run-of-the-mill Mario game. This got a lot of hate back in the day. The NES launched with Super Mario Bros., a game everyone loved and is the classic of all classics. The SNES launched with Super Mario World, a game that was a classic-style Mario game that was, again, critically acclaimed. The N64 released with Super Mario 64, and that's the game that was credited with making 3D worlds a mainstream in video games. A major revolution in gaming yet again, so naturally, everyone was expecting the sequel to Super Mario 64 while looking at the GameCube. But instead what they got was a game starring Luigi, and instead of hunting stars in an open world, you're hunting ghosts. People were pissed. But why? I mean, come on guys, Mario Sunshine was gonna come out in a few months. Like, I know you're looking forward to this, but it's not like Metroid Prime Federation Force, which was announced when we didn't hear anything from the Metroid franchise in like 5 years, and was the only Metroid game we knew about at the time of its announcement. Why didn't they announce Samus Returns alongside Federation Force is beyond me, but whatever. My point is, the outrage that Federation Force got was understandable, but the Mario franchise had a major release coming soon, so what's the problem? Anyway, sorry about that. I just wanted to get that off my chest. Let's move on. So unlike most Mario games, this is by no means a platformer. It's more like a puzzle and exploration based game. The game sees you going from room to room, sucking up all the ghosts in that room until there are no more ghosts to suck. Luigi can do this by shining his flashlight at the ghost's face to stun them. Once stunned, Luigi can suck them up. You do this by pulling the control stick the opposite direction the ghost is going, and this will deplete the ghost's health. Once the ghost runs out of health, the ghost is sucked up in the Poltergust 3000, the ghost catching contraption on Luigi's back. After all the ghosts are gone, the lights come back on and the game provides you with some means of getting to the next room, whether it be a key or unblocking a blocked area. Lather, rinse, repeat. The game also uses its contact-sensitive L and R buttons to its advantage. The harder you push down, the more the Poltergust sucks or blows. Now this may sound tedious, but each and every room is unique enough to keep things fresh, whether it be using different, more creative means to capture ghosts, like having to look in a mirror or a projector to see them coming. Or even something like elemental powers, which is needed to weaken a ghost that may have an elemental weakness that is required to catch it. But the most unique rooms easily go to the portrait ghost rooms. These are the boss ghosts, and all of them are ghosts that were alive at some point, making it feel a little creepier, which I like. And they all require a unique way to capture them, which means using the old noggin to figure out how. Sometimes you'll be tasked with fighting a major boss ghost. You have Chauncey the Spoiled Baby, Bogmire the Symmetry Shadow, Boolossus, this combination of a bunch of different Boos to make one big Boo, and last King Boo and Bowser. And the implications are very strange here, as it's not clear why Bowser is here, but I don't mind, it adds some mystery to the game. They're all very unique, and they have their own bios. It's little things like that that make this game so special. Things like being able to call Mario's name and it sounds more desperate the more health you lose, to this little gallery that you can visit at any point in the game and look at all the portrait ghosts you've caught. Stuff like that isn't needed, but the fact that it's in the game is so cool. There are even these secret rooms that are some of the most satisfying things to find on your own. This game can also be credited as the game that made Luigi a unique character from Mario. Because of this game, he's the down-to-earth, scared and timid guy who is willing to face his fears to do what's right. It's nothing special, but it's more than any other Mario character. But other than just Luigi, there's also the amount of things he'll comment on when you scan them with the Game Boy Horror, which is the gadget with the map and the items you've collected, as well as the amount of detail put into each room. You feel like there's a story to be told with each and every one you go through throughout the mansion. That music, too. This game has a very small soundtrack, a few themes for the boss, a credits theme, and of course, the main theme. Most of the game consists of different variations of the main theme, and it sounds great. When walking through a dark hallway within the mansion, Luigi will be humming the theme, but it's accompanied by instruments. The instruments or the humming alone sound incomplete, but together, they sound like one song. The use of synthetic instruments really fits the game's style, and I love it. But there's also a version of the theme that plays when Luigi's outside, and that sounds great as well. The way Luigi whistles the theme when he's walking through a lit up hallway or room is just adorable. Now, not every room or boss ghost is required, and this actually brings me to my biggest issue with the game, the 100% award and what's required to get it. So all those rooms and portrait ghosts that are optional award you with treasure. Treasure can be found all throughout the mansion by humping pieces of furniture. Treasure comes in the form of a bunch of different things. Gold coins, paper bills, gold bars, these pearls that pop out of portrait ghosts the more you suck them and get more valuable the more health you drain in one go. There are also stones and diamonds of varying colors, and the value depends on the color. The treasure is tallied up at the end of the game and you're given a letter grade based on it. If you manage to get an A, you get a poltergust that sucks a little faster.
I'm not meaning to!
Nevertheless, that reward is just not worth it, and the treasure feels pointless to collect as a result. But I can't forgive it. After all, every optional portrait ghost and room is really fun to do. But then there are the boos. So early in the game, Luigi presses a button that releases a whole bunch of boos throughout the mansion. It's required to get 40 out of 50 of them, and 15 of them are considered the small boos that are part of boo losses, meaning only 25 boos are needed to be found throughout the mansion. However, getting all of them can help you get the A rank, as it effectively covers 1/5 of the amount of treasure that it takes to get an A rank. It's insanely hard to get an A rank and not get all the boos. Possible, but still insanely hard. If you want to get that A rank, you should get all the boos. But like I said, the 100% award is very weak, and you need to hunt down 35 of these things if you don't count the boos from the boo losses fight. But that shouldn't be a big issue if they're fun to get, right? Well, they can actually be a major pain in the butt. Here's the rundown. Once you clear a room, you'll hear a beeping noise. This means there's a boo hiding in the room. The faster the beeping gets, the closer you are. And once the beeping noise is through the roof, check the item to reveal the boo. This usually works fine. It's the process of catching the boo that's the problem. You don't have to stun them, you just have to get them in the flow of suck. Again, not really a big deal. But here's the thing. Boos love to run and hide in other rooms. These include rooms that are yet to be unlocked by the player, meaning you have to wait to unlock that room to get that boo. That can be incredibly annoying and a major pain. Another issue is that they have so much health by the end of the game, some of them going as high as 300. Some of these boos are found in incredibly tight hallways, and the process of collecting them can become just following it around for what feels like an eternity. Especially when you can't go straight into the room the boo is in. Sometimes you have to go into a few rooms just to take a little bit, just to shave off its health down a little more. Now, it's just a select few boos that are really annoying, but most of them really only take a second to catch, so the process of getting all boos that you need to beat the game normally isn't bad, but getting all the boos is annoying and not worth it if I'm being honest. So once you get the key to the final boss, you head down to challenge King Boo and Bowser. It's a great climactic fight. But this and the boo hunt have a huge design flaw. So every time you catch a boo, you get the option to save the game, and why wouldn't you? Well, the reward for catching all the boos, being one of the 2 gold diamonds in the game, is given to you when you catch the last boo. Here's the thing, you can only grab the diamond after you save, and most people will head straight down to King Boo. If you saved after you caught the boo, but before you grab the diamond and then die to King Boo, it's gone, and there's no way to get it back. So here's what you do. Once you pick up that diamond, go to a toad and save immediately. This way, the diamond you collected will be saved in your inventory permanently. So if you die to King Boo, you'll still have it. Alright. I know I dogged on this game a bit at the end, but that doesn't stop it from being incredibly charming and satisfying to play. There's nothing like catching a ghost. The feeling of it flying into your vacuum and the poof sound that it makes. It's all great stuff. I may seem biased, but that doesn't change the fact that this is an incredibly charming game with loads of detail and love put in it. I just wouldn't recommend getting the last few boos, as they can be a hassle. But I still think it can be fun to get those extra portrait ghosts and optional rooms. The reward may be crappy, but the process is really fun.
For a while, this game was only released for the GameCube, but fairly recently they released it on 3DS, so let's check it out.
Okay, so the best way I can describe this version is give and take. The controls were obviously made for the GameCube and thus work better on the GameCube. However, the portability is nice. The game's mansion also just looks a little too polished in my opinion. In the original GameCube game, it felt dirty and old, adding to the environment. However, here it really just looks way too nice, and thus doesn't feel as eerie as the original. This version has a few new modes too. A co-op mode was added, and this is garbage. It's so laggy, and for some reason they seem really proud of this inclusion, because if you beat the game without using the second player named Luigi, then EGAD calls you up and is like, you should use Luigi. I don't want to, and besides, you need 2 copies of the game for co-op. Why? You can use download play into competitive multiplayer. Alright, what else? This game also has the ability to refight any boss in the gallery, it has an achievement system, an extra rank. Yeah, that's all the major changes. The core game is pretty much the same. While I feel like the classic Luigi's Mansion for GameCube is the best way to play the game, if I'm ever away from home, this isn't the worst substitute. But I think the disappointing thing is it could have been so much more than that. Why wasn't this on Switch? The game could have controlled great and looked great on top of that. However, if you have 3DS and not a GameCube or first model Wii, this still was a passable way to experience a great game.
Luigi's Mansion is by no means a forgotten game. It has spanned a game series over time, like Donkey Kong. Well, guess what, Donkey Kong fans? Luigi has an arcade game. Does Donkey Kong have an arcade game? I didn't think so.